All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the last day of the Alexa Skills Summer Camp. Let's just get started. Give me a couple of minutes. Computer, switch off the tube light.
Okay.
Okay, so you don't have the aura behind me anymore. That light isn't there. I'm not sure, Akash, how to get emotes for the skill for your stream. I'm not too familiar with the Twitch emote, but I'm not sure. Maybe I'll ask our administrator to look into that, and maybe they can figure out something for you. Oh, the Alexa team is working on this. So yeah, that's really cool. Maybe we can have some custom emotes as well. Maybe we can have Jeff as a emote for our channel. But hey everyone, welcome to the channel and welcome to the stream. Last day of the Skills Summer Camp. Thanks to everyone who's joining in today and who has been watching the videos so far, either online or offline. Really appreciate you. This has been like a super fun session that we've been doing for the past 4 days now. This is the 5th day. Enjoying it thoroughly, and I hope you all are enjoying it as well. So we'll just start in a couple of minutes. Feel free to put in any questions or just say hi in the chat as well. Say hi in the chat as well. That's perfectly fine. Sandman asks, was that a smart light you just switched off? That's not really a smart light, Sandman. So basically it's a very simple tube light that we have, but it's actually controlled by a smart switch, and I think maybe you might be able to see that where I'm pointing my fingers. That's where these switches are, and what I've done is it's like a smart switch that I've kind of installed behind it. So it just controls my fan, my lights, and even my bulb. But my bulb is a smart bulb, so it just directly connects with Alexa. So yeah, no Friday night plans, Jeff. Just planning to stay in today. And you know what? At 7:30 p.m. IST today, Jeff Blankenberg is going to stream on his Twitch account, and it's going to be fun because he's just hit 250 followers thanks to some of you who joined the stream after watching the skills camp, and he has been given a challenge. I gave him a challenge to dress up as Bob Ross, so he's going to be doing that on today's stream. So do tune into his stream at 7:30 p.m. today. Just to wait for a couple of minutes more, but I asked you to put in some questions that you might have in so I think there are some questions about smart home skills on Alexa developer and how to build smart home skills. There are some links for that. Wally1234. I think even Jeff Nunn can share that. But yeah. Wow. Meetings from 7 p.m. IST. Wow. Ajit. Okay, so I think let's get started. So I asked some of you to share in your questions, and some of you reached out with your questions. So I'm just going to answer some of those questions directly, right? So one question that someone asked was, Vikas asked, was that in the log group he was not able to create a new player, and the player does not meet the requirements to enter based off the player attributes provided. So I'm not entirely sure about this, because if you can just share your code, that would be really helpful. But just make sure that you are using the same code as I'm using. If you are using that, it would be really cool. It would start working. So just use the same code. But I think the reason why this might not be working is because maybe you are not providing the correct API ID, API key, or maybe the match ID is missing. So sometimes these are the issues that you might get. So just make sure you're passing it on correctly. Lot of sound is here. Hey, lot of sound. if possible, can you please talk a bit about delegate chaining? That's a good question, Akash. Maybe I'll do a deep dive session in the future. But basically, what delegate chaining, and I think we had a link posted yesterday in the chat as well. But basically, here's what happens, right? So if you look at our code so far, and let me just bring up the code so that it's easier. I think I asked Jeff Nunn to share that. Jeff, if you can just share the links to the Smart Home Skills API. I know Jeff Nunn works on Smart Home Skills, so he's a Smart Home evangelist as well, along with Amit. He's a robots evangelist as well, so he gets to work on all the cool stuff. But where was I? Yeah, so let me just copy these questions. Thank you for your comment, Sohini. Really great to hear that you liked the session for the past 5 days. Really appreciate all of you joining in here with us, either online or offline. But yeah, really appreciate that, folks. Day 5. Yeah. Why do I use DuckDuckGo? I use DuckDuckGo because it's just very privacy oriented. So I'm just a privacy freak, and that's why I'm trying to reduce my dependence on a lot of not so private providers. But yeah. Anyway, so let's get started. So one of the questions that we were talking about now was intent chaining, right? So this is intent, how intent chaining works. So imagine you say something like, Alexa, open coffee shop, and then Alexa says, welcome to the coffee shop, right? And then says something like, say, start my order to get started, right? So now this is similar to how in our game we have, do you want to start the game? And then the user says yes, right? But here's the thing, the user could, instead of saying start my order or saying yes, they could say something totally random. Maybe they will say something like, what's my position on the leaderboard, or something totally random, whereas you wanted the user to kind of start the game, right? So in cases like this, when you just want the user to start the game rather than having them to say something, so here in this case what happens is the user says start my order, and then they hit your start order intent, and then Alexa says which would you like, coffee or tea, right? So this is your launch intent, and this is your order intent, right? So now what happens is the user has to say this to reach this intent, but with intent chaining, or I think the other name is dialogue. I forgot the name for it. Yeah, intent chaining, right? So what happens with intent chaining is when the user says, Alexa, open coffee shop, the skill itself will say, welcome to the coffee shop, what would you like? And then when you capture the value, so you know what's happening here is welcome to coffee shop, and then you can kind of do an intent chaining code, and all of this is available in this code. So you can just kind of click on this link and learn a bit more, but you get directly delegated to the order intent. So you don't have to worry about the user having to say those words, which is start my order. They directly come directly to this. So this is something that is useful when you don't want the user to say something and directly take them to another intent. So it's like jumping from one intent to another, right? And I know a lot of you ask this question, how do I jump from one intent to another without the user having to say those utterances? Dialog.delegate, chaining intents is how you will do that, right? So yeah, that's how we are going to work with that. Yes, Rishabh Anand, I will be publishing the refurbished code for you, so definitely going to do that. I want to call the web service JSON. How can I do this? Is there any example? I believe there was an example. I'm not sure if I can find that out, but in the blog post, let me see if I think it was Amit Jotwani who wrote that article, or might be Justin as well. Or let me actually check alexa.design/cookbook. It doesn't come right away to me, but I think we had an HTTPS call. Alexa, maybe something like that. Yeah, there we go. I think it's this one. Recipe update call and get data from external APIs. Yes, maybe you can just refer to this one. I'm not sure if it is a bit out of date, but it looks like they are using the HTTPS request and they are using API.icndb. I think this is one way to look at it, but just maybe this helps you out. Who asked that question? Nitin, right? Yeah, I hope that helps you. And we do have a lot of code demos, feature demos. If you want to deep dive into this, go to alexa.design/cookbook. Alexa.design/cookbook. Yeah. So that should be helpful to you all. Okay, now let's get started. So I think those are the questions that we have so far. I think some of you had issues with not sure. So if you get this issue, sorry, I had trouble doing what you asked, please try again. I would request you to go into your logs, and the way to go to your logs is going to your S3, your code editor, click on click on the logs Amazon CloudWatch, and then go to the latest log and share the error message as well. That will help us really figure out what is the issue with your code. Just posting in the request and response will not help us much. So Rajneesh asks, in launch intent response we add chaining to go to order intent, but user says something which is related to another intent, like my previous order status. So exactly, Rajneesh. So what happens with intent chaining is you won't go from the user does not get a chance to say something, they just go from one intent to another. So if you want to kind of set that up, that's when you would use intent chaining to be clear on that one. Okay, so let's get started, folks. I think I've answered all the questions here, so let me get started here. Right, so I just wanted to go to the refurbished code. So yesterday we had I had given you a couple of homework, and I just wanted to run the final answers for the homework with you, just explain to you how this entire how I would finish that entire code, right? And I'll also teach you about how to make the skill a bit more engaging. So let's talk a bit about that, right? So one of the things that I have done in here is this one, right? So this is my where did that go? Launch request handler, riddle intent handler, right? So here is the riddle for day number plus day number, right? So I've created a variable called as day number, and I'm calling a function called as day of the year. So if I go into the day of the year function, this function will return me the current day, right? The number of the current day, and I think today was 108 or 109. I'm not entirely sure, but this was the first function that I was expecting, right? And then what I would do here is, remember this speech output where we said that speak output plus data of questions, we were passing in 0. Instead of 0, what I'll do here is I'll put in day number, and I need to do the same for the answers as well. So I need to put in day number as well, right? So I need to make sure that the answer is being saved into the session as well. So I'm just putting in day number. So what will happen is, if it's the 108th day, what's going to happen is it's going to go inside your skill data.js, and from this questions array is going to pick up the 108th question. But for demonstration purposes, I cannot put this in here because I don't have that many questions. But if you have those many questions, it will pick up that specific number. So I'm just going to do this and do this, and I've just added a small change here where I say here is the riddle for day number 108, 109, right? Things like that. So I've just done that, and I'm going to show you how that is going to work, right? Okay, now before we start, always remember whenever you want to reset the database, reset the session, or kind of just delete the user, just click on this, click on actions, delete. So this will delete that user that you are testing for, so you can just reuse it. All right, so do we have any other questions at this point? Not really. What if I want to make, is there a link that helps us with that? I think there are a couple of links, Annapurni, that has been shared. When you look into S3, you don't see the user JSON. I'm not entirely sure why that might be happening though. One reason I have seen that happening is because folks sometimes there are some I know it sounds weird, but sometimes there are firewall restrictions that sometimes don't show it, or maybe the code you have not written it properly. So just post your code as well into the Slack channel, and to help you better, maybe just post it in the help me channel. That way I can kind of help you out all faster. So just post it in the help me channel and we can maybe take a look at this. Alright, so let's come in here. I've deleted the file. Let's test the skill and how it looks like. Open riddle me today, right? So mute site.
All your points count towards our weekly leaderboard. Are you ready for today's riddle?
I think we've been leaving the dot in there for a while, so let me just remove that dot from there. Okay, yeah, save, right? And maybe just deploy it as well. But let's test the skill, right? So now I'm going to say yes, right? So now what happens is when I say yes,
here is the riddle for day number 108. What has many keys but can't open a single lock?
Right. So so you can see that Alexa is saying here's the riddle for day number 108. What has many keys but can't open a single lock, right? So a couple of things. First of all, we don't want Alexa to say 108, but rather we want Alexa to say 108. So that is one thing about how we kind of make Alexa do that. And the second thing is, we talked a bit about this, to make the skill a bit more engaging. We kind of want to put these sounds into the skill, which makes the skill sound really better, right? And the way to do that is by using something called as SSML, right? And you can find that in the voice and tone editor here. So I'm just going to go to the voice and tone editor here and click about learn more about supported SSML tags. Now what is SSML? SSML is speech synthesis markup language, and what it does is you can control how Alexa generates the speech. Sorry guys, I just had a bit of a sneeze attack, but yeah, you can use SSML in your output speech response to control how Alexa speaks, right? So here are a few examples of how you can use it. So say for example, you wanted Alexa to speak 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right, as cardinal. So you can just use this say as interpret as cardinal. So let me just search here cardinal, right? So let's just copy that, and I think I copied it. I'm just going to paste it here. So you can see how this output looks like. It says here is a number, amazon.vbd, amazon:vbd red. We put in the vbd text, and then there is cardinal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here is how a word will be spelled out. Let me just zoom it in case you guys are not able to see that. Here is a word spelled out, and then what I do is I use the say as tag and then interpret as spell out hello, right? So let me just play this out, hear this out. We can change this to English India.
Here is a number read as a cardinal number, 12,345. Here is a word spelled out, HELLO.
Right, so you can see how 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is being spelled as as a cardinal number, right? And here is how you can spell out a word as well. And let's see what happens if I just remove these words, remove these tags. Maybe I can just remove this and remove this as well. Let's play it out.
Here is a number read as a cardinal number, 12,345. Here is a word spelled out, hello.
Right, so this is how it's working, right? And I'm not sure. So I think someone asked what is VBD. So VBD is so if you can see here, VBD is how Alexa would interpret the word as a past participle. So for example, READ can be read, which can mean the present or even the future, I guess. Whereas VBD, when you put past participle form, which is I read a book or I will read the book. So if you want to use the past participle form, you will use VBD, right? So that is what we'll be using, right? I agree, lot of sound. The best SSML tag for fixing time is break time is equal to X seconds. So there are a lot of these SSML tags, folks. There is something called as break. So you can just say there is a 3-second pause here, then you can put break time is equal to 3 seconds, and then the speech continues, right? So let me just quickly show it to you, and you have to just put this into our response, right?
There is a 3-second pause here. Then the speech continues.
So you can see the speech continues after 3 seconds, okay? And all you need to do is just put that response in here, right? You need to put that response in here. Now, let me show you what to do with making the games engaging. You can use some sounds as well. So let's see how you can use some sounds in there. So there is something called as audio tag, and what audio does is it lets you provide the URL for an MP3 file that Alexa service can play while giving a response. But you can use this to embed short pre-recorded audio, right? So there is also something called as the Alexa Skills Kit sound library. So let's just check that out quickly. I'm going to open this up. Okay, and then you can see there are some available sounds. So we are building a game skill, and we have this right answer and the wrong answer, and then there is the intro in the game when the person comes to the skill for the first time, right? So let me just search for something like intro. There's a library here. So there is a game show intro category. So let's just try and play this out. Let's see. Okay, this sounds really good. So I'm just going to copy that. And then what I'm going to do in here is going to come back to my code, right? And remember we had this one instance of the welcome message. I'm going to go into the welcome message here, and I hope the code is visible to all of you. I hope the code is visible, but I'm going to just paste it here, and if it is not, I'll just make sure I'll do something to get this fixed, right? Yeah, so this looks good. So what I'm going to do here is I've just put this audio source link at the very starting, and I've just said welcome to Riddle Me Today. I'm going to ask you a question, right? I'm going to ask you a riddle. So I'm just going to save this, and I'm going to deploy this, right? And maybe I'll just try this on my device, because you can test it out in the simulator and it works, but just see how the experience sounds like when you are just testing it out on a device as well. Computer, open Riddle Me Today. Computer, stop. Computer, open Riddle Me Today.
Welcome back to riddlemetoday.io. you ready for today's riddle?
Stop. So the skill,
Goodbye.
yeah. So I think we need to just delete this user so that we can have the fresh experience. Or I can even put it out in the delete text, in the return text as well. But let's just try this again. Computer, open riddle me today.
Welcome to Riddle Me Today.
Computer,
I'm going to ask
exit. So there you see, right? What's happening is that entire experience is really good for the user who comes into the skill, and that's how a quiz show works, right? Remember how there is the Bone Meta quiz contest. I'm not sure if you all know about that, or any other quiz contest. Whenever you kind of watch it on TV, it would start with kind of like a tune, right? So it's always good to have a tune that is unique to your skill, and it kind of makes users come back and they associate that sound to your skill, right? Kind of like an audio branding for your skill. Now, remember we also had something for right answer and a wrong answer as well. So I think we had right answer and wrong answer. By the way, folks, all of this code, all of this string has to be in the skill data.js file. I just did not put it in the interest of time, but please make sure you are putting it in there and also supporting the HIIN model as well, so that way you kind of have both the languages supported. Okay, but for the time being I'm just going to hard code the code here itself. So yes, so we have this correct answer, right? So inside the correct answer, let's put in the value, right? Let's put in the sound. So I'll go back to the sound library, and I think if I search for correct, or maybe I'll just search for right, game. Yeah, so there is a game. So there is a game show positive response, I guess. Yeah, so there's a game show positive response. So there are 3 of them. You folks tell me which one I should go with. So this is the first one. This is the second one. And this is the third one. So which one should we go with, folks? Just give me your answer. I think I like the second one more. So maybe you can just tell me the second one. I think a lot of you are saying second, so I'm just going to go with second for the time being. Yeah, let's go with the second one, right? So this is the second one. So I can just copy this entire link. Oh, there's a copy to clipboard link. Let's just come back here, and in front of this correct answer, let's put it in here, and just make sure you're taking care of the, what do you call it, the single quotes and double quotes properly. That can sometimes cause an issue, right? Okay, so let's just save it, and you can do the same for the wrong answer as well, but we don't have that much time, so I'm just going to skip over that part for the time being. Let's close this. Okay, yeah, that's deployed. I think let's just delete this again. I don't think that should be an issue. Let's just delete it again. Yes, Himanshu, we can save our, Himanshu asked a very good question. Can we save our own custom audio and store it in S3? Yes, you can make your own custom audio, upload it to S3, and you can just put that link. Yeah. Oh yes, Vikrant, that's a very good thing that you noticed, Koel in my backyard. What has happened is, with all the lockdown happening, what kind of a bird? It's a Koel bird. I'm really glad you guys could also hear that, because what has happened is, with the lockdown going on, there's no vehicles around this time. The roads are totally isolated. So all the sounds are so much clearer. It's like life has kind of become an HD audio kind of thing, the Dolby Digital kind of experience. You kind of get to hear the audio sounds you never used to hear before. So that's really good, I guess. But yeah, I'm just going to delete this for the time being. Yeah, let's try this out now. Okay, and this time we are going to try it out in the simulator. Open Riddle Me Today.
Welcome to Riddle Me Today.
I'm just going to say yes.
Here is the riddle for day number 108. What has many keys but can't open a single lock?
I'm going to say piano.
Correct answer. You get 10 points.
Right, so you can see how that is happening, right? How that is so good for the user's experience, because the user kind of gives the right answer, and because it's a voice medium, in most of the device Alexa is just speaking out. Using voice branding like this is going to kind of give the user the correct cue that yes, they are right, and gives an indication. Right now, when you are doing this on a mobile app, let's say for that example, and you tick mark the right answer, that is going to tick mark itself as right, and the user can see it. But it is very important to use such audio in your skill responses, so that way kind of you have Alexa give a really great experience to the user. Now, so now we are done with that. I just wanted to go through the next code example that I gave you, which is how do you kind of make sure that you are choosing the correct answers, and how are you handling the remaining chances. So this was a homework that I gave you, and remember folks, you don't have to worry a lot about if it's going to take a bit of time, but keep doing these practices again and again, and maybe you will get it right. Okay, so it's all about just practicing it more, but all of the things that are necessary to do it, I have already shown you how to do it. Apart from that, it's all just simple ifs and else that I have put in. So the question that I asked you on third day was that how do you make sure that once they are out of their chances, we give them an error saying that hey, you are out of your chances, and once they kind of give the answer on the first try or on the second try or on the third try, we give them 10 points, 5 points or 3 points. Okay, that was the homework that I had given to you. Some of you tried it out, and really appreciate you trying that out. And here's what I'm going to here's what I have done here. Okay, so let's come into the answer intent handler, right? And once you come inside the answer intent handler, what I have done is I've created a variable called as chance, and the persistent attributes dot chance, right? So I'll just say persistent attributes dot chance. But if it does not exist, right? If it does not exist, make this value as 1, right? If it does not exist, make this value as 1. Okay, and then what I did here was, if the correct answer is equal to user answer, I'm kind of giving them the points. If this is the first chance, points is 10. If this is the second chance, the points is 5. If this is the third chance, its points is 3, right? But out here, what I have also done is if the answer is wrong, so if the answer is wrong, they will come in here. What I'm doing is let remaining chances is equal to 3 minus the chance. So how many chances are remaining for the user, right? So the very first time the user comes in, there is no chance attribute at all, so the value becomes 1, right? So now remaining chances is 3 minus 1, 2, right? And what we have done here is we have said, hey, wrong answer, you only have 2 chances remaining. Okay, and I've just increased this chance variable, which was 1, I've increased it to 2. Okay, and I have saved it to the database. Now the next time the user comes in and answers it wrong, till the time if the remaining chances is 0, we say that you lost all your chances. The right answer was the correct answer, right? So if they have lost all their chances, you have to just say that hey, you have lost all your chances, remaining chances is equal to 0, right? Now that is how I handle it here. But sometimes what happens is, once the user comes into the skill and they say var chance is equal to 1, because I need to get it from the database as well, right? A Talwar, so A Talwar asks, why not just say chance is equal to 1, because I need to get it from the database, the current amount of chance as well, right? Anyways, going up to the top, now if someone says open the skill again, and at that point if I notice that hey, this user is out of the chances for today, I need to tell them that hey, you are out of chances for today, right? So what I did here was I said if chance is equal to 0 and chance is persistent attributes dot chance, speak output is equal to data out of chances, and this is a variable text that I have said which says hey, you are out of chances for today. And here I have said return handler input dot response builder dot speak and dot get response. Now do you notice something different between these 3 lines and these 3 lines, or these 4 lines rather? Which method is not in there? Exactly. So you can't see the reprompt method. And remember, I said, why do we use the reprompt method? The reason why we use reprompt method is kind of wait for the user to say something. But if they are out of chances, we are going to say that, hey, you're out of chances, no more chances for you, right? So that is how I built this entire system. Now, folks, always remember, all I've done here is just put in some if else. All of the other things that you are seeing here is code that we have already seen. So see, for example, this one, data to save chance. And then I just call the save function. Remember the save function that we discussed yesterday, which kind of saves something to the database and updates it. All of this is from the save function. So all you need to do is just put that logic in here and kind of think about what your logic is going to be and implement that into your skill. I think someone asked a really good question. Akash asked a really good question. We also need to reset chance on the next day, right? Exactly. So the chance needs to be reset on the next day. This so far is a skill that only works properly on day 1, or rather whichever day you are opening it up, right? What happens when you open it up tomorrow? Because then the chance value is going to be still be defined and the user is going to come inside here, right? So just make sure. So again, like I said, all you need to do is save something to the database, and I'll let it up to you about how you want to handle it. How I would handle it is maybe I will keep a day variable in the database as well, and then I'll match here if the day is also the same, and then proceed to the next question. But honestly, at the end of the day, it depends on you on how you want to handle that, right? Exactly, Akash. This can be achieved by adding the day in the persistent attributes as well. Hey, that's really good, Akash, and really good everyone giving in the answers. But yeah, this is how it works. Let me just test out the skill quickly. Okay. So I'm just going to delete it so that you folks can see how this final experience looks like at this point. I'm just going to delete it. Actions, delete it. Let's start it from the scratch, right? Open riddle me today.
Welcome to Riddle Me Today.
Right, so I'm going to give a wrong answer
Here
at this
is
point.
the riddle for day number 108. What has many keys but can't open a single lock?
I'm just going to say pawns here.
Wrong answer. You only have 2 chances remaining.
So I can say at this point it's piano.
Correct answer. You get 5 points.
Right, so you can see how this entire experience looks like, right? So that is what I have built in the code so far. Of course, this can be made even a bit more better, and all that you need to do here is just piece all of these two things together and then publish that skill, right? And I know the skill is not yet perfectly finished. but I just wanted to take a bit of a break here and stop any more coding in this so that we can go ahead and teach you how to publish this skill as well. Right. So username is unavailable asked a good question about APL, and even I think someone else asked a question about APL as well. I think JB Nunn has just shared a link as well. Just go through that link, folks, and ask your questions in the Slack channel, honestly, because if I were to do APL is going to be like another 5 days of camp. So maybe we can have a camp thereafter, right? So uh, at this point, let's get talking about a couple of other things about how to go forward from here and what is the next thing to do. I want all of you to take a bit of a few minutes today and fill in the feedback form for this session, or rather just the entire summer camp. I know all of you have been hanging around here, and we really appreciate some of your feedback. So just go in there, and this is the link, which is I hope the link is correct. I sometimes forget that. Yeah, I think the link is correct. So just go into this link. It's alexa.design/feedback, right? Just go in here and give in your feedback, and we would like to hear from you what worked in this session, what can we improve, and any other new programs that you want us to take. So yeah, just bring that up. Yeah, just take a couple of minutes there and fill it up. Raja Vikrant, I would really like to show the leaderboard thing, but unfortunately we don't have much time. But remember yesterday we were dealing with this function here, which was called as get leaderboard, and this get leaderboard kind of retrieves a rendered leaderboard APL document. So you don't have to worry about you don't have to worry a lot about you don't have to worry about making the APL document. It's automatically just brought in there, right? So you can just do that, folks. You can just do that, Raja Vikrant. Just use that and the leaderboard comes in, right? And I think there is a leaderboard player score as well, which gives the leaderboard information. So you can just use that. Right, I think there's a question about what mic I use. I use a Yeti blue mic, space gray color, if that helps. But yes, that is the feedback link. All of you just make sure you're clicking on those links and going and giving us feedback about this program, right? And that will really help us out. How can we handle multiple players playing the game one by one? How can we handle session for all of them? So Shoaib Sheikh, really good question. Every interaction is a new session, even for the same user. So right, even if the new user, there's like a totally new session, right? So it can be handled. You don't have to do any of those session management. All of that is done for you by the SDK. All right. So we are at that point now. Our skill is developed. Okay. And what we are going to do here is we're just going to go inside the invocation name. So coming into the models here, we're going to go inside the Hindi option. And once we go inside the Hindi option, we need to do the same things here, right? But unfortunately, I don't have time. So for this example, I'm just going to remove this for the time being. But you folks can leave it. Whenever you're publishing the skill, make sure you're putting in both the Hindi model and the English model, so that more customers have access to your skill in India, right? Just going to go to build option again. So I just have a skill now which is entirely done, and we have tested the skill works fine end to end. Of course, there are a lot of opportunities to improve it, but that's going to come up later on. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to distribution, and let's kind of go ahead and publish this skill, right? Let's talk a bit about how you publish this skill. So now what happens is once your skill is ready, only you can use it as of right now. Okay. To make it accessible to others, you have to publish it. and we have to publish it to something called as the skill store. So this is where you can find your skill store. You can go to amazon.in/skills, and you can see all the really good skills in here, right? For example, there's something called as impossible Bollywood quiz. You come in here, right? You can say that, hey, this is the impossible Bollywood quiz. You can see some utterances that you can say to the skill, like you can say, Alexa, open impossible Bollywood quiz. You can say, let's play the impossible Bollywood quiz, and you can also say begin impossible Bollywood quiz, right? So you can say all of these things. There is description as well for the skill, right? And there's an invocation name for the skill, and ratings and reviews and stuff like that. Okay, now keep in mind one thing when you're publishing your skill, right? I want you to keep in mind the other skill experiences. Go and try out some of these skills, like try out impossible Bollywood quiz. In fact, you can try out another skill called as Rekta. Try out how Rekta works, right? Here is a skill that I have built or rather another team built it. I was very close in building in this one. It's called the Wild Planet Animal Library. It's got somewhere around 6,800 reviews or something. Really great skill. See what makes this skill really good, right? So test it out, try it out. I'm not sure if the Voxogenic folks are here, but go and check out skills made by Voxogenic. They've built some really good skills called as Master Blaster, Bulls and Cows, Battle Ludo. Try it out and see what is it that makes these skills really endearing to the user. The users really love it, so they are giving high ratings. So just go and check out here what these top skills are doing, so that you can kind of try and emulate that within your skills as well, right? So try doing that and see how that works, right? You'll see a lot of skills here with that. Okay, now that we've discussed that, let's come back to the console. Okay, so this is going to be your public name, right? Now this is what people will see in here, right? This first line that you're seeing, Wild Planet, this is the public name, right? So what you can do here is you can say riddle me today, and you can say 500 plus riddles, okay, updated daily, okay, something like that, kind of, because what's going to happen is people are going to come to your Alexa skills. They'll come into their app, and they'll come into here Alexa skills, right? Let me actually close my shopping history. I'm not sure how to close that, but yeah, all household items in there. Yeah, what we were trying to check out skills, right? Let's go to amazon.in/skills, and once I come into the skills, right, what's going to happen is people are going to search for this, right? So let's say they click on business and finance. They are just going to see the skill names here, and then whatever interests them, they are going to click on that. So kind of using riddle me today with 500 plus riddles updated daily would be really helpful, right? Then there is one sentence description, right? So just make sure in this one sentence description you are just putting in a really good description within 160 characters that just defines your skill, right? That's really useful for the users to understand what the skill is within a short 160 characters, right? So what happens is Alexa has this feature where you can say, Alexa, what games can I play today? And then Alexa will talk about 3 games, and while it's speaking about those 3 games, it will use this one sentence description. And based on that, what's going to happen is the users will make that decision. So make sure you are trying to sell your skill in these 160 words as possible, as detailed as possible, right? Detailed description. This is where you can kind of put in all the FAQs about your skill, what your skill does. Say for example, look at this one, right? Description. They've just put in the welcome to Wild Planet, and then they talk about all the skill, all the animals that they have. And this is a good way, because when someone searches for, say, a kiwi or a parakeet, this is going to come up on top of their searches, right? If someone comes in and searches for parakeet noises or asks Alexa for parakeet noises, the search option will kind of come in here, right? So that's a good way to kind of improve your skills, SEO as well in here, right? And then you can just say that, hey, feel free to reach us with questions. Please write to howdy@oikuapp.com. That's their emails, right? So that's something that they have done. Okay, so that's something that you can put in detailed description. What's new for your skill? This is something that you can talk about here. You can talk about if you are releasing a new version of your skill, you can kind of put what are the new things that you have added to the skill. Maybe you have added say for example a new feature which allows the users to rank up on leaderboard, right? Maybe you can define that here because that's something that they can see. Now after you've done that, this is the most important part, folks, right? This is what sells your skill, right? And you can actually click on this more option to learn what this does. These are example phrases, which means these are basically these three things, right? Open Wild Planet, play tiger sound from Wild Planet, play puppy sound from Wild Planet, or even things like let's look at some other skills, right? Alexa skills. I think we had I think the impossible Bollywood quiz, right? So let's look at impossible Bollywood quiz. This is how the impossible Bollywood quiz looks like. I'm clicking on this. It shows these three phrases. So these are the example phrases that shows up here, folks, right? So the very first thing should be Alexa, open the skill, right? That should be the first phrase, the single interaction. Or you can also add something like open my horoscopes and give me the horoscope for Taurus, right? So kind of make sure whatever you're putting in here, the utterances are proper and it works properly, because that's what the user is going to see here. And you want to make sure that whatever the user sees here and says to their Alexa device works perfectly fine. And my suggestion would be to try with a totally new device once you have published your skill, okay, to see if this works properly or not. So what I'm going to do here is let me just put in riddle me today, test your riddling skills. With the riddle me today skill, and get on the top of our leaderboard, something like that, right? So make it more enticing for people, and then write in some description here, and then let's say open riddle me today. What is today's riddle? And the answer is maybe the answer is pawns, or maybe piano, right? Something like that. So here is where you're training the user that, hey, if you say these three things, my skill is going to understand for sure. It does not mean that you won't support anything else. Make sure that you have other utterances as well, but make sure that this is something that you're doing. Now after that, you need to choose an icon, and this is very important because when you look at an icon like Gabbar Singh, right, it really makes you feel that, hey, I should test out this skill, and you click on that skill and check it out, right? And if you want to kind of test it out, you will be attracted by the icon. So what you can do here is you need to add an icon here, and if you are not good at designing, there is a skill icon builder as well. So I'm just going to open that icon builder here. You can just click on that link here, and here you can just choose one of these icons. Let's see if there's a riddle icon. No. Is there a puzzle icon? Yeah, there is a puzzle icon. So I'm just going to use the puzzle icon. I can kind of drag it here, right? And then maybe I can change the color. I can have a solid color. Okay. And then I'm just going to download this. Okay, I'm just going to download that. Are there any other questions? Until what time is the session today? I think we should be wrapping up in the next 15-20 minutes or so. Definitely not above 7:30, because at 7:30 I have to go and attend Jeff's stream today. So definitely not above 7:30. Okay, so let's come in here. Let's go in here. Right, go inside the downloads folder. Where did that go? Icons. Use the 108 one, and then come in here. Icon 512. Now you can see a warning here, which says your example phrase, the answer is piano, does not contain a sample utterances that you have provided in your intent. Now this is very kind of a bit of an issue here. So let's just come here and see what's the issue. So if you see, we don't have an utterance here which kind of matches the utterance that we just paid in here, right? The answer is piano. Well, the answer intent is, you can say the answer is answer, but it's still detecting that, hey, that's not there. So just make sure that you're kind of putting in an utterance here, which is in here as well. And maybe for testing purposes, you can put in the answer is piano, but I would suggest kind of put in something like here, right? Bring a riddle. Okay, even that is fine. Okay, but make sure that the users know how to answer it. Put all those information in the detailed description. Say something like answer by saying the answer is piano. Okay, and say something like this is a riddle skill that will ask you a riddle every day. Answer by saying the answer is piano. Answer correctly and win points to top our riddle leaderboard. Okay, try to make it more enticing. Maybe you can say something like, do you have it in you to become the best riddler of all time? Something like that, right? So just to make the users kind of attracted towards your skill. So just put in some description in there. Yeah. How to promote our skills. We'll talk about that in a bit, folks. Now, once we are done with this icons, this category as well. So we are going to choose the category. Now in category, this is by default games and trivia, knowledge and trivia, right? You can choose whichever category is suitable for your skill. This is games and category, puzzle game, I would say, or maybe it's knowledge and trivia. This is perfectly fine. So I'll keep it under knowledge and trivia. Make sure you are having it in the right category so that folks who are looking for the skill, they sometimes tend to go into the category and test for those kind of things, right? So just make sure you're putting it in the right category. Keywords, you need to put in keywords. So I'm going to put in riddle, quiz, stuff like that. Make sure you are putting in relevant keywords so that you kind of get detected when people are searching for you. I just missed a couple of links here. You have privacy policy URL and terms of use URL. So do pass in your privacy policy and terms of use URL, and click on save and continue here. Okay, now once you do that, answer these questions. Does this skill allow users to make purchases or spend real money? No. Does this collect users' personal information? Do we collect personal information? No, we don't collect users' personal information like name, email, password, phone number, birth date, right? So I'm going to say no. Is this skill directed to, or does it target under the age of 13? No. Does this skill contain advertising? No. Export compliances, just tick mark it, and then give some testing instruction. This skill will ask you a different question every day. Just respond back with, I think the answer is right answer. Just pass in the right answer, right? So I'm just giving testing instructions to the testing team that is going to test it. Okay, so now who should have access to this skill? The default option is public, but if you are building it for Alexa for business organization, you should choose this option. But let me just tell you one thing, this is not available for India right now. There's just Alexa for business is only for US, so this is not available for us right now. There is an option here called as beta test. Just click on this beta test. Now this is very important because before you publish the skill and make it live for everyone, it should be it should be kind of tested by your friends or people in your family who have an Alexa device. Ask them to test it out, or maybe if you you can come and join the Alexa Slack channel. There's a big family of Alexa developers, right? You can just post in your skill and we can test it out and give you feedback for that, right? So right now beta test is not available for this skill because I need to submit it, make it ready for submission, right? So I'm just going to go and do that. Right, there is a new feature here which is called as automated locale distribution. When you submit your skill, we'll assess its eligibility for distribution to all locales of a given language. Because we are now doing it only for India IN, it can be used for other languages as well. So opt into automated locale distribution, and it will just your skill will be made live in the Alexa skill store associated with each additional locale, right? So I think that's something, this is a new feature that I'm just seeing. I have not deep dived into it, but you can do all about this, read all about this in this link here. If you want to select a few countries and regions, you can choose that as well, but I'm just going to say in all countries and click on save and continue. Now there's a validation test that will run, and let's just wait for that to go on. Right, so now we got an issue which says a skill icon, large skill icon is missing for the EN/IN locale. Let's just go back. I thought I uploaded it. Maybe I'll just upload it again. So this validation is very important because that is what is going to tell you about, you know what, I think I missed something here. I did not click on save and continue, I guess. I think I need to just put it in again. Right, excuse me folks as I just get this working. I'm not sure. I'll just need to come back and see why that. Tell me a riddle, bring a riddle. Okay. Tell me a riddle, bring a riddle. Riddle. And I'm not putting in a lot of effort in here because I just want to make sure we are running through this. But when you do it, just make sure you are promoting it in a right way. And the right way to do that is by going in here, looking at the other skills that are doing really good and understand from them. And Rahul Yadav is in the comment section as well. And he can answer a few questions about how to build some engaging skills. He's from Oxygenic and he can answer a few questions. What do I think? what am I making a mistake here? I'm not really sure. For E and IN to add a large icon, I did add a large icon. I saved it. I thought I saved it. Did I not? Yeah, I saved it. It looks like I saved it. Forgot to add it after refreshing. No, but I have already saved it, and that's why it's showing up here, right? Yeah, I clicked on run again. Availability. Save and continue. Oh, I think I need to run the validation again. Yeah. Thanks for that, Rishabh Anand. I think run validation again, Akash Raksha. Yeah, so I think we'll just run this automated error checks. I think this is going to take a bit of a minute. That's a good feedback, Mr. Survival Expert. Maybe you guys could give us a warning when you leave the distribution tab. I'll definitely take it back to the team for sure. Any other questions? Where to host the privacy URL? Also, is there a format? Himanshu, you'll find it online. And if it's like a very simple, straightforward skill, and you have a privacy URL, I think there will be some with privacy URL generators as well. Kind of, you can use that as well, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. Hey, so that worked. All the validations were checked. Now let's click on submission. Yeah. Now once you submit the skill, once your skill is ready for submission, there are two ways to do that. Either you can just certify and publish, where they will directly, once your skill passes certification, it will go for publishing. Or you can just choose this option where you can just say that, hey, I just want it to be certified. I will choose when I want it to go live, right? So I think I'm just going to go with certify and publish and just click on submit for review, right? I think we've got some 10 minutes more, but yeah, there we go, folks. The skill that we built over 5 days just went into review, right? And yeah, there we go. We kind of built the skill and it's all ready. Someone just asked what is the ETA for the skill to go live. I think I've seen my skills sometimes even get live in like a few minutes to a few hours as well. Sometimes it takes a day or two max, but that's very rare. That depends on the skill to skill basis, right? But yes, depends. Right, so that means the skill that we built over the last 5 days is now ready to be let out in the world whenever it in a few hours or so, whenever I get that email from the certification team saying that, hey, this skill is live, and you can then go out and test it out in the skill store, right? Okay, so now let me just then talk about a couple of things as we wrap up this session. What happens if the review fails? You get a message with detailed feedback on what went wrong, and then then you'll need to fix them out, and then you need to submit it again for testing, right? For certification. Now let me just quickly talk about 2 new features. Now once you have kind of built the skill and published the skill, people will start using the skill, and once they start using the skill, you can go into the analytics here and you can check out how customers are using your skill, right? So for example, this is one of my skills that is not that much used these days because there's a lockdown, but this is a skill called as Bangalore Metro Guide, and it gives you how to go from one station to another. Say in Bangalore, I think there are two lines. There's the there's the green line, and there's the purple line. So you can ask, how do I go from this station to that station? It tells you the fare, and it also tells you the stations that are going to come in between and how many stations are there in between, right? So you can look at analytics and see how your skill is performing. But one of the cool things in here is to go inside something called as the build option, and here there is an option called as intent history, right? Now what happens with intent history is now look at this skill. I have a very simple intent which is called as for the route from source station to destination station. Now source station is station names, slot types. If you look at station names, there's Swami Vivekananda Road, there is Indira Nagar, there's Trinity, there's Cubbon Park, right? There's a city railway station and stuff like that, right? Now if you go inside the intent history, what happens is, say for example, sometimes people say, how do I go from CP Park to Indira Nagar? Now CP Park is Cubbon Park, but you can see that I have not put that as a synonym, right? And if a lot of people are saying CP Park, my skill is going to fail for them because, hey, that doesn't exist in the synonym, right? So you can always go inside the intent history here, and just if a user has said that 10 or more times, it kind of shows up in your unresolved utterances. And then what you can see here is, okay, there are users who are saying this to my skill and it is not resolving properly. So you can kind of put it in the database, in your slots, and have that picked up by Alexa again and make that work. So that is a good way to get started. But yes, that's pretty much it on how you would add the skill. But always keep in mind that just building a skill is not enough. You have to keep looking at how the users are using the skill, and make sure that you are updating in on a day-to-day basis about on a daily basis. You're looking at what kind of experiences your users are having, and keep making those changes that will provide a good experience to them. So it's very important that you release frequent updates to your skill, so that folks can test it out and also have a better experience, right? Okay, that's pretty much it in terms of what I had to say. I just wanted to share a couple of links. The very first thing is something called as alexa.design/offers. I've shared this link again and again, but basically we are running an incentive program where you can build a skill and earn some developer perks. I think one is, if you 250 or more customers enable and use your skill, you will get a Amazon gift voucher worth INR 2000, and if you kind of get 3000 or more unique customers, you get a 75% discount on the fee for the AWS certified exam for Alexa skill builders. So that's a really cool thing, and you get a 5000 rupees Amazon gift voucher as well. So do try it out and apply to this link. You have to go to alexa.design/offers and just apply there once you have built the skill. As usual, this is the link, which is alexa.design/India Slack invite, right? This is our Slack group. Make sure you're joining the Slack group. Like I said, there are going to be some hackathons that we are going to be conducting pretty soon. So all these things that you have just learned, put it to good use. Come and build some really cool stuff for the hackathon. I would really be excited to see what you all are building with the Alexa Skills Kit. I know we tried to build a puzzle skill in the last 5 days, and it has been really, really enriching experience for me as well. I hope you found it useful as well. But yes, just make sure that you're building your skill and just publishing it as well. And once you have published it, I think in the Slack channel we have a channel where you can promote your skill. I think it's called skills promotion. Yeah, there's an Alexa skill promotion. Just post in here. I think yesterday Nitin Sama shared a skill as well. Something, I think he made a Shaktiman quiz skill. So you can make some really cool skills like this and share it with us, and we'll be more than happy to test it out and give you some feedback, right? So that's pretty much it, folks. Like I said, please do give us feedback. We would love to hear from you on how you think this entire session was, and we'd like to build more such sessions for you, more such content for you. But we want to hear from you on this kind of feedback that we want for this kind of events, right? And last but not the least, we do have yesterday on the channel, I shared a link to all the communities. So just go in here and there's this community link here. There's a community in Bangalore, Chennai, Mumbai, Delhi, Pune, Ahmedabad, around in 12 cities. I know there won't be any events happening right now, but pretty soon, once this lockdown ends and once things are back to normal, you can go out and meet your friends, in all these communities, right? That brings me to an end of this session. I think I have a couple of minutes or more. Any quick questions so that I can answer it? How do we? Yeah, so Eternal Dragon King asks a good question. After making changes to the skill, how do we do a deployment so that the published skill is used? Well, if you want to do that in the development chat, so what happens is your skill kind of becomes like a live skill and there's a development skill. And if you are using hosted, they have this really cool feature where you can kind of have a developer version and a live version as well. So you can write your code, and when you want to kind of make it live, you can click on promote to live, so you have a development version and a production version of the backend as well. A source code integrated, yes, definitely. With Alexa hosted, it is inbuilt. But yes, folks, that's time for me to log out. But thank you so much, folks. Again, like I said, reach out to me out on all the channels. I am at the rate @pkarthikr on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, everywhere. Share what you have built, what you have learned from the skill. I would really love a tweet or an Instagram story on what you have learned so far. Do reach out to me. But yes, these last 5 days have been super exciting for me, and I've had a lot of fun with all of you. I think we've had like around 200 or 300 people all the time on the stream, testing out stuff, building stuff, and reaching out with homework. Really appreciate the excitement, and I'm really excited to welcome you all to this new skill that you've just learned on building an Alexa skill. So yeah, that's it from me. Thank you so much for attending, everyone. Until next time, keep in touch, stay safe, stay healthy, and bye bye for now.